Alrighty, sports fans, welcome on in. It is the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 792.1 FM, Utah's number one sports talk. I'm not Sean O'Connell. I'm Scott Mitchell. I'm filling in. We are at Tim Daly Mazda at 4595 South State Street. Come on down, because guess what? If you do, we have one pair of tickets to tomorrow's Utah Utes versus Baylor Bears. Don't want to miss that one. You come on down, and the first person here to get it gets it. Anyways, welcome into the show. We have a lot of fun today. It is championship weekend in the old NFL. Yes, that's going on. The Utah Hockey Club. We're going to talk a little bit about them. Apparently, they can't have the Yeti. The Yeti is gone. No Yeti. No Yeti to Getty. Anyways, this is it's going to be a lot of fun here. By the way, January is bringing extra cash to your bank account. The ESPN Cash Kickoff is here. Every weekday, we'll be giving you a cash key twice during the Sean O'Connell Show, which is right now at 11:30 and 1:30, and twice during the drive with Spence Checketts at 2:30 and 4:30. Text in and win. The more you text, the more entries you get throughout the day. That's $1,000 for you to spend however you want. You can throw me a little tip if you want. No, I'm kidding. I said that we're not going to do that. Anyways, you can make your new car payment. Come on down here to Tim Daly Mazda. Get it. They got some killer deals here. We're gonna talk with the folks here in a bit. Some really good deals on cars. I guess Bubba Trump is taking away the EV, so get one now. I just said that, didn't I? Oh well. Anyways, great promotion. You can go to ESPN 700 Sports. If you would like more information on that. We are first going to talk with Mark Trestman. Who the heck is Mark Trestman? Do you have Mark on the phone yet, James? Is calling him now. Anyways, Mark was one of my coaches, longtime NFL assistant. He was head coach in the NFL, won 3 Grey Cups in the Canadian Football League. Local folks who know Ben Cahoon, he was Ben's coach, loves Ben. He's coached some of the greatest, been in some of the greatest organizations. It'll be a fun conversation with him. A lot of coaching changes going around in the NFL. Pete Carroll was just hired by the old Raiders. Isn't that a fun combination? Pete Carroll to the Raiders. I like that one. That's a good hire. We're going to talk a lot about all of that stuff going on as well. So. Really excited about what's happening here in the NFL this weekend. The playoffs are happening. We're going to take a deep dive into a lot of that during the show, give you some of my thoughts on all that good stuff. Right now joining us on the program is someone that I woke up early this morning because I was so excited to talk to my good friend Mark Trestman, who was a head coach in the CFL for the Montreal Alouettes. The Toronto Argonauts won 3 Grey Cup championships, was the head coach of the Chicago Bears, longtime NFL assistant, and also a longtime college assistant. Right now, he's the senior offensive assistant for the LA Chargers with Jim Harbaugh. Welcome to the program, Mark Trestman.
It's great to be with you. Thanks for thinking about me, and just a pleasure and a privilege to be on with you today.
So, Mark, you one of the things I really want to talk to you about, because there's a lot of head coaching openings. Pete Carroll was just hired by the Raiders. There's still the Saints job is open, the Cowboys job, the Giants job. You've interviewed as a head coach before. I've always been curious, like, how those interviews go. Like, are you prepped for stuff like that, or what do these owners like to hear? How does that process actually happen?
Well, that is probably an individual basis. Everyone is different. I've interviewed with 3 or 4 NFL owners with their whoever is at that table with them. But I found the most important thing is to try to show them how authentic you are, to let them understand your purpose, what your mission in life is, what your core values are. Because to me, the culture of a locker room, we've been in locker rooms together. You're one of the most favorite players I've ever coached for a lot of different reasons. Scott, I love coaching you, but I think it goes to the culture of the locker room is going to be the core values of the head coach, what he values, what his non-negotiables are. And I think letting them know about that and staying away from your resume and what you've accomplished, because that's all on the record anyways. So I think it's important to try to engage them as quickly as possible to the authenticity with which you do things, and the values and the mission you're on to help lead their team to what ultimately is to be the best team in the National Football League.
Um, Owners or they kind of select different guys, right? And so, like Pete Carroll, he's 73 years old. He's been a head coach multiple times in the NFL, in college, had a lot of success. Didn't have a lot of success maybe in New England. Before that, Antonio Pierce was the coach. He was a young guy, was an assistant who was an interim coach, and you have some of these coaches. Ben Johnson is a guy who's a coordinator. Not a lot of experience. You have Vrabel, who's a guy who's been around, and he's getting another shot. How do you think owners pick this? Because sometimes I scratch my head at owners, and this is nothing against Aaron Glenn, but it seems like the New York Jets just have a hard time finding the right coach. What do you think's going through these owners' heads in picking these different coaches at these different times in their careers?
That's a question that's almost impossible to answer, Scott.
I know.
You see how nebulous it all is with the guys being hired. I mean, with a hire like Pete, I mean, I know Pete very well. We coached together in Minnesota. We coached together in San Francisco. I was with him when he never thought he would be a head coach again, and he proceeded to go to USC and to Seattle, and we all know the history of that. But I think that every owner is different. Every owner is looking for something different. It's kind of surprising, as much as Aaron is, we'd all argue is based on standards today of successful coordinators and maybe even players who have become head coaches. Nobody really knows that there isn't always a correlation between successful head coaches, Robert Saleh, for instance, and
right.
And being a great coordinator. It's really a kind of a crapshoot. Liam Cohen had one fantastic year at Tampa, and now he's going to be a head coach. Well, that's a completely different environment, and the to-do list there is much different on multiple levels. So Pete Carroll's been there, done that. Will give some stability to the Raider organization. I've been in the Raider organizations. I know Mark Davis pretty well. And I think the Las Vegas hire was a great hire to kind of settle the organization down, get it back on track. And so I think that was a mindful decision. I'm sure Tom Brady had some say in that. I just think it's a really, really good decision for the Raiders to, as I said, settle them in. And we'll see what happens with some of these new hires around the league. Ben Johnson has never been a head coach. He's done a terrific job as being a coordinator, and hot coordinators a lot of times, are the answer. I mean, when I was a hot coordinator 3 or 4 different times, but had to go to Canada to prove that I could be a head coach. So it's every situation's different. And so I've given you a non-answer to your question.
No, I think it is an answer, because I think about this all the time. I think about just all the craziest things about football all the time, and just thinking, if I was an owner, what direction would I go? Would I go with the hot coordinator? Would I go with a more proven coach, or would I go with, because there've been some guys who and I think Belichick is a really fascinating thing, where he was a really good coordinator with the Giants. Went to Cleveland, and they didn't do very well. He was there with Nick Saban, and then he kind of goes to the Jets, and then he goes to the Patriots, and it's not really right in the beginning looking like it's going to be a great thing, and then it turns out to be a phenomenal thing. And so to me, I wonder, is it better to hire a guy that's had some seasoning, who's been through things, who's got a lot of experience, and you grow. And I think it's so, everyone's so quick to cast off guys that maybe didn't have success somewhere, and never give them another opportunity again. I think it's kind of the same thing with players too, where I think of my own career and some of the hardest moments I had where I was probably the least successful were some that I value the most and I learned the most from. And you wish you could take that knowledge and experience onto the next opportunity. And it's just really hard in the NFL to kind of get a second chance or another chance or even a chance. And so it's just a real fascinating dilemma I think these owners have on making a decision like who is the right guy for our organization. How much do you think a head coach actually the impact of coaches on an organization? Is it you think of some of the great coaches of all time. I was coached by Coach Shula, and how much of an impact do you think those coaches have, or is it just like the coach is a lot better because you got really good players?
Well, I think that a coach is never going to be a great coach unless he's got a quarterback playing at a high and efficient level. But you know how hard it is to win a game in the National Football League, whether you're a winning coach or one who hasn't won. Every week is hard, even for the Andy Reids and the Don Shulas of the world and coaches like that. I think, going back to your original point about, giving coaches a second chance, I think that in a lot of cases that's been proven to be a good thing. Like I know what I learned, the mistakes I made in Chicago that would have allowed me to be a better head coach. It helped me when I went back to Toronto and we were able to win another championship there. But I think coaches who get a second opportunity, and then as Bill Belichick was tied to a player of Tom Brady's capability and ability, helped elevate him as a head coach. But I think it goes back to your first question about owners, and that is, what is my locker room going to look like? What is it going to feel like to walk into a building every day and be a part of this team and be a member of this organization at every level, not just the player level, personnel level, community service level, the media side, because that's all a head coach's responsibility as well as bringing all those people together to let them know that they're entirely interconnected to what the result is on game day and continue with that kind of energy and enthusiasm. Like Jim Harbaugh does this every day. He brings people together every day and lifts people up. And he's got a great quarterback to work with. That's pretty good foundation. And this is not his first go-around either as a head coach in the National Football League, where he was successful previously. So with all that being said, I think the points you make are really good.
I have a lot to ask you about the present position you're in the Los Angeles Chargers organization, and you're a senior assistant, offensive assistant with the team. You have a long-standing relationship with Jim Harbaugh, and I'm a huge Justin Herbert fan. I watched him quite a bit at Oregon. I'm the radio color analyst for the University of Utah, so I've watched him a lot in college. Thought he was way underutilized at Oregon, but how much leeway do you have? Like, because you kind of describe to me like your position. So there's a lot of organizations in the NFL, to our listeners, who will have a lot of people on their staff who a lot of them are former head coaches, and they have a kind of the more eyeballs you can have, they have a kind of a collective group of coaching minds that aren't necessarily like a position coach, but they're there to offer assistance and help out. What is your role, and like how can you go up to Jim and say, Jim, I think it's 3rd and 3 and this is what we should run right here?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily do it in the game because that's Greg Roman's responsibility as the offensive coordinator, but I'm sitting next to Greg. But I think the point you make is I took this job for various reasons. Number one is I do have a long-standing relationship with Jim. He was the quarterback coach in his first coaching job when I was the coordinator with the Raiders. Both our run and pass game coordinators, Marcus Brady and Andy Bischoff, the run game coordinator, were both coaches of mine in Montreal. And I recommended them to Jim as high-ranking, coaches on the staff. And then Mike Devlin, I coached Mike when I was the coordinator in Arizona. So I've got long-standing relationships with the people that I went into the job with them knowing that I was only there to help and support them. I wasn't looking for their job. I have a chance to be in the
Right.
quarterback meeting room each and every day, which is really the hub, as you know, of what happens offensively. And so, as you kind of said it, as I'm there, I have certain responsibilities during the week relative to game planning and special situations. So I'm in front of the offense periodically during the week, but most importantly, I'm there to support Greg, support Jim, be a conduit to Jim, and just be there for the guys without having hands-on, which isn't easy with the energy and the juice I have. But I've been, very much enjoyed being part of the staff and being around not only an elite player like Justin, but an elite human being with leadership skills that are at elite level.
I would imagine that would be a lot of fun. I really would, because you don't have the pressure of being a position coach or head coach, or and I know you really, you'd love to be the guy in charge, and that just it's how you're wired. But I'll bet it would be a nice thing to be around, and I'm sure the culture, is being in a good culture with coaches. I know you've been in good cultures, you've been in bad ones with your
Yeah,
career as a coach. So I would imagine that'd be a lot of fun. I got to ask you
yeah.
though, um, about the running game coordinator in the CFL. Is there such a thing? Like, we might run what? Like, how many times do you run a game, or am I missing? Because it's
No,
only
there.
three downs, right?
Yeah, we don't in the CFL we never separated that. I mean, I was the play caller. We had coordinator Marcus Brady, our pass game coordinator, was a coordinator for me in Toronto when we won the Grey Cup. So no, we put everything together ourselves, but we collaboratively put game plans together with guys having different assignments, special situations, and but the league has evolved into not just having the coordinator, which in our case is Greg Roman, but pass and run game coordinators, which have opened up more jobs and more opportunities for guys to grow and get elevated in the game and in the league.
How big a difference is it calling plays in the CFL as compared to the NFL? I mean, what's the adjustment like?
Well, to me, I always looked at. I realized that when I was a play caller in the NFL, that I was really calling plays to try to avoid third down, anyways. Was to try to maximize first down, so second down there'd be a higher percentage of converting on second down to minimize third down, because as we know, it's extremely difficult. Third down is probably the most difficult special situation in football, and the longer the yardage is, the more it equates to being a defensive advantage. So in the CFL, you only get two downs. If you don't get enough on second down, you're punting on third down. So it's a faster game, but the run game's part of it, but not to the same extent as it is obviously in the NFL.
So how do you okay, so how do you avoid getting to third down? And the reason I say this is like I sit and I watch college football, and and I watch a lot of the, of course I'm very intimately involved at the University of Utah, and watching, and it seems like no matter what happens on first down, every single coach wants to run the ball on second down. Every coach. And it's like, I mean, I would say it's 98% of the time. And I'm like, I don't know. And it just, you just don't seem to have consistent success that way. I'm just curious, how do you avoid third down? I love that philosophy.
Well, I always felt that throwing the ball on the first down was the best way to make 6.5 yards. And if I could find what I would call a candy store possession throw, or a play
Yeah.
action pass, even where the priority was let's hit the check down. So you might have a play action pass, its own coverage. You're going to get the back checking down, even with 7-man protection. So a check down would get you 6 yards, 6.5 yards, and now you own the down, you own the
Yeah.
situation on second down, because now you're in a position to run it or throw it. So I always felt Like you want balance, but it's very difficult on first down to make 6.5 yards. It just seems a lot easier, and I think Andy Reid has proven that over the course of his career. In places I've been, it's not that you don't want to be balanced. It's not that you don't want to effectively run the ball on first down. But if you look at the odds of making 6.5 yards on first down, it isn't easy to do.
Um, Ben Cahoon. So Ben is a guy who a lot of people here know very well. Uh, a local kid. He works for one of my favorite companies in the world, G2G Bars. It's the best protein bar in the world. My daughter introduced to me to them years ago, and I absolutely love them.
I love them. I
Yeah.
love them.
Oh,
If
hey, look at
if
you.
Ben's if Ben's listening, have him send me another box. I'm low.
Definitely. Yeah. But you speak really highly. I know local folks here appreciate Ben Cahoon. Tell me what your thoughts on him.
Well, first of all, Ben is, let's talk character. The highest character, great family, great wife, beautiful daughters, a real family guy. But when people talk to me, we're on the practice field at our place, and I'll turn to Andy Bishop and said, Ben Cahoon, if he played 12 years in the National Football League, might be in the NFL Hall of Fame because,
Wow.
he was a Wesley Welker,
Yep.
Amendola, you know, slot receiver, tremendous player, tremendous toughness, courage, just not being in the right place at the right time with the right people. But I would put my paycheck on if Bill Belichick would have seen him play, 12 years ago, he would have been Tom Brady would have been throwing to him, or you would have been throwing to him. You know what I mean? So, and there's a lot of I felt that way about the two quarterbacks that I coached in the CFL, Anthony Calvillo and Ricky Ray, in the right place at the right time with the right coaching, with as accurate and football intelligent as they were, and the ability to process in the right system, would have been highly, highly successful players in the National Football League.
How much how many guys do you think are like that? Like if they, and I had situations that I was in as a player where I did very well, and I understood what helped me to, being in the right situation, the right system, the right coach, right players, and I've been in situations that weren't like that either. And I'm just, what do you think, percentage wise, or how many guys are out there today? Boy, if they would have, like a Ben Cahoon, given a different time, a different coach, would have been able to do well in the NFL.
Well, I've always said the difference between the NFL and the CFL is credit card thin. I mean, it really is. There's players on every team that there's a small handful, but there are players that, if given the opportunity, and you're seeing a little bit of that matriculate now down to the NFL, and part of the reason is the quality of the high schools football has gotten better, and the recruiting of players in Canada have become more involved because there are players up there that have played college football. Again in the CFL, a lot of the players come out of college football that have Canadian ties. So, I mean, when I was in Montreal, my 5 years, we had a receiver core that a lot of them, we had three or four guys that unfortunately never got NFL chances that were highly productive and CFL Hall of Fame players.
Um, do you talked about these? What was it? A candy throw? Is that
Candy,
what,
I call them a candy store completions.
candy store complete? And I know it under a different name. It's I mean it's I love that description of it. I say it all the time. I believe it. I preach it all the time. Do you have a play as a coordinator that you go, man, this was the play that it's like my pet play, the one that I just love the most. Do you have a play that's your favorite play to call?
I don't know that. I mean, to me, I wouldn't call a play that wasn't a favorite. That I couldn't tell the quarterback, we're going to complete this ball, and here's why. I think that's part of it, is that, what beats all coverages, but what's the primary coverage it beats. So, like, I wouldn't put a game plan or call a play that I didn't think we had, 100%, a 99% chance of completing it, as long as we had protection and as long as you could complete a throwing motion.
Yeah. See, I have a play. It's a 364 F flat swing. It would be, I don't know, it could be twins right slot. It could be a whole different. And to me, that's that candy store play. To me, that's that first down play. It's just like it covers all things. It's always open. Somebody's always open. If you get through the progression, you have time to throw it. It's like and it's like, and I got a whole bunch of those plays, and I love the heck out of them. And it gets really frustrating to me to watch these people make it so hard. How do you think the game has changed? The NFL. How has it changed over your time in the league?
Yeah, I think that one thing that and the game has changed. I think that number one is it's almost impossible. By the way, in terms of the plays that you liked, I mean, I don't know that anybody threw back shoulder fades or seamer out back shoulders any better than you did over your career and the time I was with you. And, you had the Herman Moores and the Johnny Mortons and the Dave Sloans and guys like that, besides Barry. But I loved watching you throw all the ball. Nobody could spin it any better. But the game has evolved because footwork, to me, doesn't appear to be as important. And coverage reading doesn't seem to me to be as important. It's almost if you can count to four and move through progressions. Quarterbacks like footwork now in the pocket, even in the gun, isn't the precision footwork that we used to talk about back in the day, where your footwork would actually take you to the open receiver.
Right.
In today's game, timing routes are not as predominant. In the drop back game, the play action game is very similar, but in the drop back game, it's more progression, not coverage reading. An example might be you have a play you're reading 1 through 4, but 3 and 4 are the best places to start, because that's where the weakness of the coverage is. You're not starting there in today's football. You're starting with 1 and 2. And to me, the key to the passing game is to get the ball out as fast as you can before you get hit, because that's what they're trying to do. So if you can get to 3 and 4 and make them 1 and 2, you're going to get the ball out faster. But just watching the tape, knowing how things are now in the National Football League, I don't see that being as prevalent as it was years ago. Bill Walsh would have a difficult time, understanding exactly what was being done. And then the other side of it is you almost can't live at the quarterback position as a play caller unless your quarterback can extend and get you a couple of first downs with his legs each and every week, because it's just too hard to convert on third down in the passing game. Over the 14 to 16 times you might get third down situations during the course of the game.
Is that something that you talk about? Do you drill that? Do you game plan for that, or is it just kind of osmosis?
No, I think it's a reminder each and every week that using your legs is one of the most demoralizing ways to force defensive coordinators, and it's always been the case, to just shake their head. They've got the right call, they've got people in the right place, but somebody doesn't hold their edge. Somebody doesn't keep their contained assignment. All of a sudden, the quarterback makes 10 or 12 yards. Do set it downs. We've kept their offense off the field, and we got a chance to convert and go down and score. So I think extending with your legs is critically important. I mean, when you watch Pat Mahomes play, it's almost like Andy Reid is saying, you know what, we're gonna have you drop back and then just go ahead and run around, because when you run around, that's when the most important. And you see that. I mean, how many times does Pat Mahomes throw on rhythm? Probably less than half the times if you analyze, and I'm probably ahead of myself there, but less than half the times he's climbing pocket, he's sliding out, he's finding more space, giving, Travis Kelce more chance to get open over the middle.
Yeah, you look at all four quarterbacks that are in the championship games this week, and they all do that. Josh
They all
Allen.
do it. Yeah,
Jaden Daniels has done it. Yeah,
Hurts.
they're
Yeah,
all
they're
that
all
player.
very good
Yeah,
at it. Yeah.
very interesting. All right, Mark, I have to go. I don't want to because I could sit here and talk to you for hours. You're awesome. I'd love to have you. I'm actually starting my. I'm just guesting hosting today, but I'm going to start my own show here in a little while. I'd love to have you come back.
Yeah, I'd love to come back. Always great to hear your voice, Scott, and all the best to you and your family. Anytime.
Thank you very much. Yeah, give Jim a hug for me. Tell him I said hello.
I will.
All
I
right.
will do that. You take
All right,
care.
be good.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Hey, you're listening to the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 792.1 FM. Proud to be part of Utah's ESPN radio network. We're joined right now by none other than Iser.
Yes, sir.
Is yes, sir?
Yes.
Iser?
It's different, right?
Yes.
It's half Jordanian, half Bulgarian, like we were talking
Yes.
about. It's the other white meat.
Yes, he's the other white meat. He's the general manager here at the Tim Dowley Mazda on 4595 South State Street. Got some amazing deals going on. So tell us a little bit about, I guess, some of the things that you got. Folks need to come in, and it's a great time to buy a car, right?
Well, it is. I mean, we have great rates. We compete with Mazda competes with most of the banks, and even better. 0.9 for 36 months, 2.9 for 72 months on most new cars. I mean, like we talked about too, for all your listeners, I'll carry it all the way to the end of the month. If they come in saying they listen to you, I'll give them $500 below invoice on any brand new car. I mean, we want to sell them, we want to push them. Same thing. We talked about the EV rebate that is going away maybe at the end of this month, which is $7,500 off plus with additional discounts. Take advantage of that. Come on down. Come see us. We're friendly. We're not on commission. We're the oldest Mazda dealership in the state. We would love to earn your business. And if you don't like the numbers, you don't have to buy from us.
So talk to me about EVs a little bit.
We talked about it. Right. We called it Baba Trump's program.
Yeah.
But, he came out and
we have a new sheriff in the country running things, and he said you could buy an electric car if you want to, but you're not going to be forced to buy one. Why should
Correct.
people buy an EV?
Well, because most of them get, if you commute back and forth between work and home, I mean, the ones that we have get you 57 miles per gallon. I mean, where are you going to find another car, full-size SUV, 7-passenger, that will get you 57 miles per gallon? I mean, that's hard to beat. I mean, ours are not complete EVs. They're hybrid EVs, so they have gas engines and they have the EV engine, which gets you a certain mileage on EV, and then it flips to a gas engine. So it's a perfect scenario. So if you want to commute with it out of state, you can do that too, because you're not obligated to stop by and fill it up with or charge it with electricity. So it gives you both worlds. But take advantage of the $7,500 rebate that's going away.
So look, new cars, new deals. Got to move some inventory. You're ready to work with folks, and you're gonna give them a great deal, get them in a nice car, and so we're here for the next 3 hours. Love talking to you. We'll chat with you again. Come on down. Lots going on. You can get basketball tickets. You can get a great deal. You can talk to the other white meat, and you want to do it. So that's Tim Dowley Mazda here at 4595 South State Street in Salt Lake. Coming around the corner, I think we're going to talk about. I believe Pete Carroll got hired as the Raiders coach. Going to talk about some of that when we come back. This is 97. I'm sorry. This is ESPN 1700. Let me slow down just a little bit. This is ESPN 700, 92.1, Utah's #1 sports talk.
Inside the 12 of Houston, Kansas City 3rd and goal, leading by 1 fourth quarter. Mahomes in the gun, receivers in tight. He gets the knee-high shotgun snap, and he's grabbed, and he throws as he's being tackled, and it was caught in the end zone by Kelsey. What a grab by Kelsey, but what a play by Mahomes. 11-yard touchdown pass as he was being dragged from behind and threaded the needle, and there he found the belt buckle of Kelsey, who catches it 5 yards deep in the middle of the end zone. Touchdown, Chiefs.
All right, Mahomes, 11-yard touchdown throw as he was being tackled last week in the divisional round win over the Texans, courtesy Westwood One. Kevin Harlan on the call, by the way. Hey, we'll have the NFC and AFC championship games Sunday here on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 792.1 FM. We are your home of the NFL playoffs. It's awesome here on ESPN because we get everything. We get baseball, we get it all. We get football, we get the best college football team here in the state of Utah. Did we do a poll question, by the way, James?
We did. Speaking of best team in the state, we decided, since we're kind of shifting, I mean, it's been college basketball season for a while, but we're starting to shift from football season to basketball season, NBA and college basketball. And there's enough of a sample size because they've been playing for a few months, Scott, to be able to ask this question. Who's the best college basketball team in the state, men or women? So you only get 4 spots on Twitter polls. So I couldn't – there's more that I put down on the rundown that we can discuss that are in the running. But I put 3 teams in, then I put other and asked people to comment. No comments yet, but we do have some votes for other. So if you voted other, please comment on the poll so you can tell us who you're thinking.
Yeah, come on. We need to know.
Utah State men, Utah women, BYU men, those are the 3 that I put on the poll. Okay. And then other, which, of course, if you're a Utah fan, go ahead and vote that. Well, if you think the run in Utes,
Utah people are going to go, how can you put BYU above Utah? Because Utah beat BYU, and come on. And James.
And I know, I emphasize that these are not what we think. We didn't rank them this way. This is just –
you just threw it up there.
I just threw it up there. I figured Utah did beat BYU.
Let's have the conversation.
Yeah, let's have the conversation. Right. But it was a 1-point win. BYU certainly has – higher upside talent on paper too, so that's why. Anyway, I thought we'd put them on.
Where can they go to do this? Where's Bull?
Go on Twitter at ESPN 700. I tagged you on it as well, Scott. I know you're not too active on Twitter, but you do have the account there. I'm sure if you want to retweet that, then they can go there.
New motivation. I may become more active on Twitter. You never know.
But at ESPN 700. So far, you want me to give you the results so far here?
Give me the results. Let's hear what we got.
The Aggie men leading at 53%, and I mean, there's a great argument for that. They have the best record of all these teams, 17-2. They've been ranked a few different weeks in the season, not currently ranked right now, but they're near the top of the Mountain West, basically tied for the top of the Mountain West. So they're leading it at 53%. Then the Utah women coming in at number 2. I'm sure a lot of Utah fans going, I'm not voting for the BYU men, so we're going Utah women. But also,
come on,
we know how good the Utah women have been the last few years. Scott, tournament team the last 3 years,
totally,
and got injury to one of their key players right now, or they'd be playing even better. But Gianna Neepkins, the star up there, one of the best players in all of women's college basketball. So yeah, they're coming in at number 2. BYU men at 6%, and then other at 3%, like I said. But we haven't no comments. So if you voted other, please comment who you had in mind when you voted other there.
Let's do it. All right, let's get back into things here. Really quick, though, our show brought to you today and every day by Les Schwab Tires. Les Schwab has the tires, wheels, and accessories for whatever you drive. Stop by your local Les Schwab today, and their professionals will get the job right the first time. Okay, Pete Carroll, as you mentioned, was hired by the Raiders, and I'm always fascinated by these coaching hirings, and you have these guys. I mean, I remember Nick Sirianni when he got hired by the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm just scratching my head. I really am. I'm scratching my head going, because he's like, well, we're going to have players, we're going to have systems, we're going to do these things. And I thought that guy's going to last 2 minutes, especially in Philadelphia. Like they can run someone out of town quicker than nobody's business. And he's been tough. He's hung in there. He's done a tremendous job. They're back in the championship game. They've been, been very successful in his.
They were that career. Close to beating the Chiefs in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago too.
Yeah,
Scott.
I mean, right. I know.
He's been
that's what I'm saying.
much better than expected.
So he's kind of a coordinator. He's a hot new commodity who's done well. Then you have some other guys. You have Dan Quinn, who's now back in the championship, and seeing him have a resurgence and doing well, and it'll be interesting to see kind of some of the chickens coming back to the roost. So so you have Aaron Glenn going back to the Jets, and that's fascinating. And I think everyone at first blush goes, are you kidding me? Aaron Glenn back to the Jets? And Spence, he's a huge Jets fan, and he was like, what are we doing? What are we thinking? And and he talked about the definition of insanity. And I think everyone says, no, but this is going to be different. This is going to be different. And the one thing that's different, and I wonder what kind of impact it really has on things, where you have a former player going back to the team that they played for. I've seen it in college football, and I think it's been met with some pretty good success. You think Jonathan Smith, who went back to Oregon State, and you think of what's his name, Kenny Dillingham down at Arizona State. These former alumni are going back to their old programs. Now that's college football, and is the NFL different? Because I think when Mike Vrabel was hired by the Patriots, everyone was like, ooh, that's a good hire. We really like that. We think he's, he fits into the Patriot way, the culture, all of these things. And it's going to be a fascinating thing to figure it out. I was talking to Mark Trestman, who longtime NFL head coach, assistant, been around a long time, been in a lot of situations in the league. And I just, I really wonder what goes through these owners' heads when they make these decisions. Like, are they really, do they really know what they're doing? Because you feel like with the Jets, they really don't. And then you have to ask yourself, why? Why do they not know why does what seems so obvious to all of us seem like the biggest mystery in the world to some of these people? And I've always wondered, and quite frankly, I think it's a curse and a blessing in the NFL with these owners, because they are sitting on a freaking cash cow, like the lottery times 10. The value of these teams just through the roof. The investment they've made, no matter how well the team does, no matter how many head coaches they have, how many first picks in the draft, how many, Zach Wilsons do they, go through. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the coaches are, who came through, who didn't, because they're, at the end of the day, they are going to reap massive benefits. And I wonder sometimes, James, if they don't do these coaching hires just to stir things up, just to get the fans interested, get them riled up, get them with a new sense of excitement. And I just, because you look at Woody Johnson, and he seems like about as patient as someone waiting for a red light in New York City. He just has no patience at all.
Just antsy all the time.
Oh yeah. And then you take these other organizations like the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're still back in the 1970s with a lot of people in there. They don't make quick changes.
It's a lot like the way that the Utah Jazz and our college programs have been, at least on the football side here in Utah, Scott. Like Jerry Sloan was there for 23 years, right?
Yeah.
And there were so many years where, of course, they made the playoffs, but in other places, he might have been fired because they didn't get to the conference finals like they thought they should have, but the Millers at the time, the owners of the team, kept him there, right? And that's the way the Rooneys have always been with the Steelers. They I mean, how many times when's the last time Mike Tomlin won a playoff game? And yet they're like, but he also doesn't have any losing seasons, and we know him and we trust him. We're going to stick with him.
And I think the continuity that these organizations have always keep them competitive. You know, they're the ones that just struggle. You know, I think of back in the day when I was with the Detroit Lions and how I don't think they really grasp how important it was to create this continuity and to create this, you know, and so the continuity helps players develop. It helps them mature. It helps coaches mature. Every year, James, I know it's going to be a shocker to you. We're down to 4 teams, but only one of 32 wins. One team every year is deemed successful, and everyone else is a failure.
Well, that doesn't seem fair, Scott.
It's
come on
brutally
now.
hard to win in the NFL, and people are just so quick. I mean, they're so quick to just cast people aside and cast coaches aside or make these coaching changes. And you know, there's a lot of them that are happening, and you know, these whole coordinator thing, you know, and some coaches have turned out to be phenomenal. You know, Mike Holmgren, who was a great coach in the NFL, was a coordinator at one point. Pete Carroll was a coordinator who became a great coach. You know, I mean, you can go back through all history in the NFL, and a lot of these coordinators, you know, Don Shula was, Vince Lombardi, Tom Landry, they were all, you know, they were all assistant coaches at some point in the league, and you found success at all places. Guys coming from college, you found assistants, you found former head coaches that have now got a second chance that work. So it's not an exact science. It's an absolute crapshoot. When you get these new coaches, it's fun to look at and figure out. But you know, it'll continue on. I mean, you know, Deion's still in play with the Cowboys, and I would love that to happen no matter what. I think that would be the coolest thing in the world. And you've got the Giants. I mean, two of the most high-profile markets and teams in the NFL still don't have coaches. And the Saints, you know, I don't think people know if they have a coach or not. I think they're so forgotten in the NFL. So we'll see. Let's take another break. And I need to let you guys know something before we do that. The ESPN 792.1 FM cash kickoff is here. It's time for your shot to win $1,000. To pay your bills, to do whatever you want with it. It doesn't have to be your bills, but you can do whatever you want. So text BEST, B-E-S-T, to 508-777-1000 for your chance to win. That's 508-777-1000. Okay, wait. Do we have more, James? I keep seeing more stuff here.
Yeah, we've got a.
All right, we got
a check in on golf here in the next segment.
In next segment, but we also Jason Aldean.
Oh yes,
is coming to the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater July 26th. Spence Checketts has tickets for you all week on the drive. Details on ESPN700sports.com. This is the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 792.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk. We'll be right back. update here. James, give us the update, please.
Yeah, just real quick. That's AI, Scott. So you talk about technology. That's that's hey, we're gonna tell the computer to help us come up with a way to help your drive.
Can we negotiate the
higher.
distance with the AI technology? Can we go like 8 yards is nice, but give me like 15, give me 10, something. Is that possible?
Right. I mean, there's got to be a way to do that, and I'm sure they can help you out with that at Uinta Golf. But let's get you that PGA Tour leaderboard update from Torrey Pines. They have not started play yet in round 3. So, Scott, normally the PGA schedule is Thursday to Sunday, final round of every tournament's on Sunday. But this one, it's Wednesday to Saturday. So this is actually the weekend, if you will, starting today for golf.
They're not going to conflict with the NFL on Sundays.
Exactly. And Jim Nantz is calling the game. I don't know if you watched when you were watching the Bill. He's calling the tournament too. I don't know if when you were watching Bills Ravens. Romo was joking like, "Hey, you're going to make it back in time for the AFC Championship game?" And he's like, "Yeah, they're ending it on Saturday, so I should be able to do both."
Okay.
So that was probably definitely the NFL helping out, but also CBS saying, "Hey, we want Jim Nantz on both." So let's make this happen. Tied for the lead right now through 2 rounds, and they're going to get started here in a little bit on round 3. Is Lanto Griffin and Ludwig Oberg at 6 under. Okay. Danny Walker is 3rd at 5 under. And then tied for 4th is Chris Goddard, and Sung Jae Im, the Korean, is also tied for 4th at 4 under. And Hunter Springer tied with them at 4 under for 4th place. What about the local guys, Scott? Zach Blair is the only one of our local players that made the cut. Tony Finau not participating in this one. Zach Blair is tied for 36 at 3 under or 3 over. I better check that, get the score right for him. He's even, tied for 36. But he did make the cut, so he is playing, quote-unquote, the weekend starting this afternoon. That's your PGA Tour leaderboard update.
We're going to check back in a bit here if there's any changes there. We're going to go out to our good friend here, the general manager. I start as the general manager here at Tim Daly Mazda, which is at 4595 South State Street here in Murray. And welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
You have some amazing deals going on.
Yes.
You're ready to work with folks. Come on in. Tell me a little bit about what are some of the better what are some of the more popular models of cars, some of the things that you really like and people find interesting. Talk about Mazdas here for a minute.
Well, Mazdas are all great cars. I mean, we're Consumer Reports top pick for the last 10 years. We come either number 1 or number 2 in Consumer Reports, which is huge. Safety features, our cars are packed with safety features. So standard safety features in our cars come with adaptive radar, lane departure, lane keep assist, LED lights, Apple and Android CarPlay, blind spot monitors, backup camera, smart city brake support, brake assist. Those are all standard features on our cars. So you buy an introductory level model or you buy a $60,000 car, you get all the safety features standard on that, which is huge. I mean, if you want this, that's what you need as a commuter car. That comes all with it. If you're looking for your teenager for school or college, that all comes with it. So they're safe cars, great cars. They do really well in the snow. They're all-wheel drives. Which is amazing vehicle. I've been with Mazda since 2004, so I've seen the growth in the manufacturer since then. I mean, there's no car out there in the market that can compete with those vehicles, which is what we take pride on.
So it's a great car.
Yes.
And you have some great deals. So talk to us about some of the deals you got going on.
So we have 0.9% interest rate on most of the vehicles that we have. We have, for longer terms, we have like 2.9 for 72 months. We have great lease programs. We have our EVs, the incentives that we have, the $7,500 that from here to the end of the month, plus what additional incentives and discounts that we give as a dealer. Like I said, for all your listeners, we're doing $500 below manufacturer invoice all the way to the end of the month. I'll push it to the end of the month. As long as they come over here, mention your radio channel, I'll give them $500 below invoice, minus any other incentives and rebates they qualify for. We just, our job is to put as many cars we want or as many cars we can on the road. That's how we gain customers. We gain customers. We don't sell cars. We buy customers, basically.
Hey, come on down, check it out. Great deals, great cars. They're ready to work with you on anything you need, whatever your budget, whatever your needs is for a car. It's here, and these guys are awesome. It's a great place. You got to come check it out. I mean, come listen. ESPN 700 listeners, come down and get your deal right here. And it's going on all month, so you want to do it. All right. We'll check back with Icer in a bit, but right now we're going to go to break. This is Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk. We got so much more to get to, so stick around. We'll be back in a bit. to get the Jazz in contention to be, one of the best teams in the NBA for a long period of time. And I found out from Spence Checketts I was praying for the wrong person. It's Justin Zanuck that I need to be praying for. So the last couple of days, I encourage all of you Jazz fans out there, pray for Justin Zanuck to make the right picks. They've been making some moves. The trade deadline is around the corner. So make your prayers. James, I have some hilarious quotes from Stephen Wright. And I just want to share just a couple because I think Stephen Wright, you probably don't even know who he is. Do you know who he is, James? James, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I'm coming in clear.
I know
are
of
you there,
a
James?
yes.
Hello. Okay. You know who Stephen Wright is?
I know of a Stephen Wright that was a baseball player.
No.
I didn't think so.
Stephen Wright was a comedian. He kind of had this deadpan delivery.
Okay.
And he made these hilarious observations and quotes about life, right?
Was it?
So
it sounds kind of Jerry Seinfeld-ish.
A little bit.
A little bit, okay.
He would fit well on Jerry Seinfeld. Let's just put it that way.
All right.
Here's one of his quotes. Borrow money from pessimists. They don't expect it back. I'd kill for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Love it.
Get it? It's peace, you kill. Right. Anyway, and he goes, I wonder if someone asked George Washington for a quarter or for identification if he just didn't pull out a quarter. Show him a quarter. Here. I'm the guy on the quarter.
And then if they were really giving him a hard time, he's like, okay, I'm on the dollar too. Worth 4 times as much, okay?
Well, that's when you go in and you need 2 forms of identification.
Yeah, there you
right?
go.
So when you're applying for something, so he brought in a quarter and a dollar and his birth certificate.
If he needs a third form, you just got a picture of Mount Rushmore too, I'm sure.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. All right, and then here's the last one. So what's the speed of dark? You know that we have the speed of light?
Yeah.
What's the actual speed of dark?
Is it just not moving at all?
I don't know. That's
that's his.
Mysteries.
I thought this was a riddle. That's the quote.
No,
what's the speed of dark?
Right. So what's the speed of dark? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, love Stephen Wright. Find those very funny. This weekend, by the way, and you can hear it right here on ESPN 700. The NFL is having its championship week, right? Conference championship week to decide who goes to the Super Bowl.
2 championships.
Yes.
Versus 1 in the Super Bowl, Scott. It's double the amount of championships this
Yes.
weekend.
Well, this is conference championship week, and then we're going to have the Super Bowl,
right,
which is the actual final champion. But I love this weekend. And it's one of my favorite times of watching sports because when you go to a Super Bowl, and I understand this as a former player, it is a big deal. Like getting there, participating in it, of course, winning it. Can't tell you what that feels like, but I just know as a player, that was just a moment. Been a part of AFC Championship games with the Miami Dolphins, and of course lost
got a
to
caller
Buffalo,
if you want to take a call.
Lost to the Buffalo Bills, but I was
ESPN 700. This is James.
I was very fascinated with
good.
Is
this Tyson again?
With the
awesome.
I can hear you, James, and it's throwing me off. Sorry, folks. So I love this time because you've got all this two of these teams are going to be so excited, and the other two are going to be just crushed.
Just a sec, if you don't mind holding for a sec, I'll have you ask Scott personally if you want.
All right, James has someone on the phone. I
guess
you
call you Sandy, right? That's where you're from.
Okay, he can't hear. James, can you hear me?
Oh, okay, awesome. We'll have him introduce you like that. Thanks, Tyson.
All right, you there, James?
I'm here. I apologize. That may have went over. Yeah, my conversation with our caller might have just went over the air. I didn't have my mic off.
Yeah, I think it did.
Oh well, so we've got at least my side. My bad, Scott. So my side of it did. Well,
hey,
let's hear
there's a couple
Tyson.
of buttons in there. You just got to push one of them.
I know,
but make sure you push the right button.
It's.
Are we going to do a caller on the radio, a live caller? Tyson, you better be good. Because if you're not good, I'm going to hang up on you.
So Tyson's going to ask you for a specific story here because he's a fan of one of the teams you played for.
All right, go for it.
Hey, man, good to talk to you. I'm a lifelong Miami Dolphins fan.
So am I. So what's your last name, Tyson?
My last name's Howard.
Tyson Howard. Well, welcome to the
Yes,
Sean
sir.
O'Connell Show. What do you got
Thanks,
for
man.
me?
Appreciate it. So, two things is my brother played football for a guy that I think you may have played with on the Lions named Joe Clousey. You know him?
So Joe and I played at Utah.
Oh, okay. Right on.
Yeah, I know Joe
He's a
well.
good dude.
He's a great guy.
Okay, nice. He is a good dude. He coached my brother, and we appreciate him. He made a good man out of him. But so my
Joe will
question
do
is,
that to you. He'll make a good man out of you if you're not careful.
He's a tough dude, man.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to cross that guy, that's for sure. But anyways, like I said, lifelong Dolphins fan. I just wonder if you could tell us a cool Dan Marino story.
Cool Dan
It's been a
Marino
long
story.
time since we've- Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can. Gosh. I'll give you the Dan Marino rules. Well, I'll just tell you. So when I first, I was drafted by the Miami Dolphins, and of course everyone knew who Dan Marino was. He was a legend while he was playing, and I just remember the first time that I was introduced to Dan, and he and I was starstruck. I mean, I was like, oh my goodness, this is like I was speechless. I didn't know, and I didn't know how to address him, and it was just really awkward, because it's like your whole life you just have your teammates, and going from college to the NFL, that adjustment to, and of course, we had some really good players on the team, but Marino just had this presence about himself. I mean, he was actually, I'm gonna tell you a different story than the one I told you. So he comes to, so I get over, my starstruck part of Dan Marino, and you realize that we're all just human and we put our pants on the same way. We really do, but it was an incredible experience to be teammates, and we spent a lot of time together in the 4 years that I was there, in meetings and in practice, and so you get to know people, and one day we have like an off-season mini camp, and Dan comes in one morning and he goes, "Hey, I'm going to be in a movie." And I'm like, "Oh, that sounds cool. Okay, and so what's the movie about?" And he goes, "Well, it's about this. It's really funny." And he just starts off like, "It's really funny," and he's not even really telling me what the movie. Oh, it's going to be and he goes, "There's this guy who's like a detective for pets," and I'm like, "Okay, that sounds really stupid, right?" And he goes, no, it's going to be really funny. There's this guy, his name's Jim Carrey, and he's on In Living Color, and he's the only white person. It's an all black, and he's the only white person on In Living Color, and he's really funny. And he's the detective, and they kidnapped the Miami Dolphin mascot, the Dolphin, right? And I'm like, this sounds even dumber, right? So the next day, Jim Carrey comes to practice, and he comes in the locker room. So I meet Jim Carrey, and he's talking about this movie, and I'm just like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. This is going to be an absolute, like, abysmal failure, right? So that later on, they start filming this show, in this movie, and we're working out. We're in the facility, and some of the production people for the movie come to our practice facility, and they're begging players to come and be extras in the movie. And they go, "Anyone want to do it?" And I was like the first one to raise my hand. "Yeah, I'll be in your dumb pet detective movie. Of course I will." So I'm in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. If you have to pause to see me in the movie, right? Because this is a really short appearance in the movie, but I am in it. I do get a credit at the end of the movie, and I got $150 for the day, just so you know. Anyway, so fast forward, it's the off season, and I'm getting ready to leave Fort Lauderdale, Florida, on an airplane, and so is Dan Marino. And we happen to be sitting next to each other on the airplane, and he's reading the newspaper. And it's the entertainment section, and they're critiquing his new movie that is Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. And so he's like, "Hey," and he's sitting next to me, and he starts reading the review on the movie. And he's reading it for a couple minutes. He says, "Nah, they don't know what they're talking about." And he throws the newspaper at me, and I'm sitting next to him on the airplane. So I pick it up, and I read it, and it says, "This is a horrible movie. Dan Marino can't act. Courtney Cox can't act. Nobody in this movie can act. The only redeeming thing in this movie is this guy Jim Carrey. He's hilarious. So that was a fun story about Marino, and his and you know what, they were actually right because he wasn't really. It's kind of funny because he's stiff in the movie, right? He just
Yeah.
you know.
I
I
love the
love
guy.
you.
I
Could
mean,
I
my
have some
favorite
more gum,
quarterback.
please? You know, and he's not like that in real life. You know, he's really funny guy, great teammate. So there you have it. So thanks for calling in. Really appreciate it. And, a fun
Thanks,
story
Scott.
to tell. Hope you enjoyed that.
I did, Brand. Appreciate it. You guys
You
have
got
a
it.
good weekend.
Thank you. All right, there we go. We had a caller. I don't think I've ever done that in my career. That was kind of fun.
The first caller.
Hey,
That's
if
the
you
first time That's the first time my side of the conversation vetting a caller has gone on the air too.
Yeah,
Scott.
it was
so
throwing
it was
me
the
off,
first time
James.
for
I'm not
everybody.
going to lie. It's
That's
like,
my bad.
Hey, James, I'm on the radio here trying to talk, and I don't think you could hear me.
Well,
actually, so.
no, because I was trying to listen to Tyson on the other side. Didn't realize the old mic was still on. So that's my bad. But you made up for it with the great story, Scott.
You're fired, James. Other than that, everything's okay. Don't worry about it. So I want to get back here before we go out to the break. I want to talk about. I hope people enjoyed that story because that was kind of a fun thing, and it was a fun time of my life, you know, playing in the NFL and some of the great players that I was able to play with, you know, and that were teammates. That was a cool thing, and it was cool watching Dan Marino every day, and you know, he talked about. He went to a Super Bowl his second year in the NFL and goes, he thought he'd be back every year, never made it back again in his career. And so a hard thing to get to is that Super Bowl, and two teams are going to do it. And I just want to talk a little bit about each one of these teams and kind of some of my observations about where they are. And you've got Washington and you've got Philadelphia. And it's fascinating in two regards because both of these teams, I think, are kind of they're kind of going counter maybe to what's the trend in the NFL. So the Philadelphia Eagles, it's all about that offensive line, and it's all about Saquon Barkley, right? I mean, running the football, who would have thought? And he was brilliant in the divisional round of the playoffs, and he's been great for him. And he's a tremendous talent, and it makes it even worse that he was with the Giants. They traded him within the division. And really was, I think, the big difference maker for this Eagles team. And I think he kind of taken a little bit of the pressure off of Jalen Hurts, and you know, because there's a lot of speculation on how good Jalen really is, and is he a guy that's gonna make things happen? And I think Jalen is. You know, he's a guy that's you know, done a tremendous job with the Philadelphia Eagles, but he's also he just has that pedigree of winning, you know, and so these big games are not bigger than what he is, and really all four of these quarterbacks are like that. You know, this moment is not beyond them, and you know, the one guy though that's just so fascinating to me is Jaden Daniels. Here's a guy, and you saw it with Joe Burrow, very similar situations. Joe Burrow is a young guy, LSU. Transfer to LSU, wins a Heisman Trophy. I mean, it's almost like a cookie cutter type of story between these two players, and they're both just, you know, ice in their veins type of players. They're not impacted at all by the bigness of what's happening. Jaden Daniels playing this year, to me, is I think the most impressive thing that I've seen in the NFL, and how he's handled the situation is extremely competitive. Extremely comfortable in the pocket. So you would almost expect, okay, this is the championship game. This is the one that's, you know, and it's on the road and in a very hostile place to play. And you have to believe that or think that, okay, this is going to be the week that the pressure is going to finally get to Jaden Daniels. And I think that's really, I think that's the key to that whole game. If he can handle that pressure and he can feel comfortable where he is, that the Commanders will do well, because he's shown that he can win on the road in tough places. I mean, Detroit last week was tough. I think the defense might be a little bit better in Philadelphia, but it's not an opponent that's new to him, so they're familiar, and I think that actually can help in that situation. But Philadelphia's done a nice job of creating problems and pressure for offenses, and they're really, really good up front on both sides of the football. Now the other side is just fascinating to me because you almost feel like Kansas City Chiefs are a house of cards. Like eventually, like it's gotta just stumble eventually because they're not as talented. It's a little different than it's been in the past, and they're really a team that is winning through experience, and that's through the coaches, through the players. You just always seem to be in games with Patrick Mahomes. They figured out ways to actually win differently, and I think that's if you want to do well and you want to succeed for a long time in the NFL, you really have to have this ability to adapt. And if anyone has adapted well to things, it's Patrick Mahomes. The other side of it is Josh Allen, and Josh Allen seems to me, this is a 0-star recruit. Not even one. Like he was like Cypher in the snow. He was 0, and it proved well because he went to the University of Wyoming, right? That is like the closest place to hell you could possibly go is University of Wyoming in Laramie. I tried to avoid driving through Laramie just briefly. In fact, I'll drive so fast I don't even care if they arrest me.
You say
just zip by there. Sorry to all you Wyoming folks, but man, I've been to Laramie multiple times, and it's never ever once impressed me in the least bit. So all I'm saying is that I'm just saying that Josh Allen has come from the phoenix in the ashes rising, and
a place where hell literally freezes over quite often, right?
Yeah, it really does. There in New Orleans. Yes, those are the two places. So Josh Allen is
shout out to Laramie.
Can he get over the hump? Can he get over the hump this year, and can he do it? And I think if you're going to watch this game, that's the question I want to know. Or is the Kansas City Chiefs going to always be his bugaboo? And my gut, well, I'll just tell you, I'm going to give you my predictions at the end of the show. All right, but I think it's fascinating. These games are going to be awesome. You're going to see 4 teams really go at it, and you're going to get your money worth.
Scott, I sure hope that Josh Allen can get over the hump. I've been pulling for these Bills the last few years because not that I've gotten tired of watching how great the Chiefs are. I've just kind of had fun rooting against them.
See, I like
the
Chiefs.
Bills are one of the.
I don't have a problem with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I don't, but I totally. Now, the only team I don't like the Eagles. I don't like them, hate them, can't like them, never will like them. Don't like their fans. I don't like anything about them. I hope they lose every single game they're ever in. I don't care. I'm not an Eagles fan. I can't say I'm a Commanders fan either, but I'm certainly impressed with Jaden Daniels and what he's done. He's been remarkable, and he was almost a Ute. He was committed to Utah and decommitted and went to Arizona State. So that kind of crushed me. All right, we're gonna take a break, but before we do, we're here at Tim Daly Mazda on 4595 South State Street. Come on down. With Iser, the general manager. He's the other white meat, and he's got some great deals for you. What do you got for us?
We're going to make these deals so great.
All right, let's do it.
There's going to be no greater deals in the world than these deals.
Sound like our president. It's going to be the biggest deal in the world. It's going to be huge.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the EV rebates that's going away, right? The $7,500 is going away. I mean, I don't have $7,500 in my bank account to make it disappear, right?
Right.
If you want great deals on the EVs, we have them till the end of the month. We have huge programs on them that can help you get into an EV car, save you some money on the gas. And on top of that, we have great rates that we offer on purchase on these vehicles. And if you want to pay cash, we'll welcome that too. But if you want to finance them, we got 2.9 for 72 months on most of our vehicles, and that's 25 models, not 24 models, all 25 models. We have 2.9 and 2.9 for 72, 1.9 for 36 months, and we have great programs. And for your listeners, we said we'll push it to the end of the month. Anybody that comes in from your channel saying, "Hey, I heard you on the radio," $500 below manufacturer invoice on any brand new 25 model.
So really great rates on vehicles. I mean, literally all the 25s, most of them here on the lot long-term financing, 2.9%, and that rebate. People need to understand. Okay, maybe people are freaked out by Bubba Trump, as he's called very affectionately here at Tim Daly Mazda. EVs are not going away.
They're not.
They're really good. I mean, great vehicles, right?
Correct.
But the rebate's going away.
Correct.
So if you're in the market, and a lot of people are, a lot of people love EVs, and you can get a really nice vehicle, great gas mileage, and that rebate. I mean, because it's going to go away, right? It's going to go away.
$7,500. You're just going to give it back to Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
Well, take advantage of it. Come on down, buy a car, 7-passenger or 8-passenger, which we have our SUVs. It's a hybrid EV, so you don't have to rely 100% on electric. It alternates between gas and electric, and get $7,500 off, plus whatever discounts we give you on top of that on that vehicle. Almost $10,000 on some models.
Yes, I mean, there's great cars here, great deals. Come on down. Plus, you can come say hi to me too, and I'm friendly. I don't bite. We're giving away tickets as well. Iser, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll chat here in a bit again. This is the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, Utah's #1 sports talk. We'll be back with none other than Bill Riley. the headset. That's all I need to know.
He did not. Sean shows plenty of
wimped out.
emotion.
Okay,
He's
good.
very coachable. I told him the Scott Mitchell story. For those of you that don't know, the first year Scott and I were working together was 2018, and I believe it was the Pac-12 championship game.
It was.
Against the University of Washington.
Yes.
And there was a big play in the game that went against Utah.
Yes.
And Scott, after the play, ripped off his headset. I think we went to commercial break and chucked it against the wall very hard.
Yes.
And I kept my composure, and I looked at Scott, and I said, don't ever do that again. We don't do that in the broadcast booth. Plus, those headsets are about $600 each. And I did like a good father would do. I didn't raise my voice, but the child can sometimes you have a better effect by saying, I'm disappointed in you. And I think Scott got that message, and he's very coachable. Scott Mitchell is a coachable broadcaster and athlete. And in the 7 years since then, he has never once thrown a headset.
No, I've kept my composure. It's actually been good for me as a fan because I can commentate on the frustration I have and do it in a constructive way. You know, that's kind of it's helped me kind of get my rage as a fan under control. So it's I would call it therapy, Bill.
Scott, is sometimes you'll hear a pounding. It's usually a good play. Like you can hear on the highlights or in the background, Scott will pound on the table our broadcast table or desk. That's about as far as he goes now.
Yeah, that's I've replaced throwing headsets with pounding on the desk. So the college, well, really quick before we I want to talk about some Utah stuff. I got a note here from James Peterson that said that the Bills' safety is out and that Cole Bishop will be starting this week against the Philadelphia Eagles in the championship game. That's kind of exciting. Oh no, the Chiefs.
Ironically,
sorry, he's the Bills against your Chiefs.
Yeah, based on the story we were just telling, Taylor Rapp, who started for the Washington Huskies in that 2018 Pac-12 championship game, is the safety who's out. And Cole Bishop, who was not yet at Utah, but obviously former Ute, is going to start in his place alongside DeMar Hamlin, who's been quite famous and in the news. So, Cole's going to get the start against my Chiefs at Arrowhead.
Yeah, very, very interesting and exciting. Yeah, I loved watching Cole when he was at Utah. So I got to ask you, because we've watched this change, right? The landscape of college football has dramatically changed with this transfer portal with NIL. It's a new game. It's different. Utah's jumped heavily into the portal, heavily into NIL in this offseason. What do you think of where Utah is moving forward in this new world? Can they survive? Can they flourish? You know, because everything was always about developing players and building your talent, and I don't know that you can do that anymore.
Well, I think you can. It's just that was Utah's secret sauce, and that was their formula, and that's how they won. You just that can't be the only thing anymore. You still have to develop players, whether they're in your program 3 or 4 years or 1 or 2 years. Like Devin Dampier, the quarterback this year. They still have to develop him. He's not a finished product by any means, but Jason Beck and his offensive staff have to continue to develop him. But that just can't be the only thing anymore. We're now in a day and age where, you can do it. You're going to have to develop some guys. You just have to do it. You might not have 3 or 4 years to develop, and you might have to expedite that development just a little bit. But on the NIL side of it, you're going to have to. There's going to be the government settlement money, the universities, everybody's going to have. But you're still going to need the support of your boosters and donors to contribute to it as well. That's just all there is to it. It's part of the deal now. It's not just development anymore, Scott. It's just not making these guys better. It's also being able to compensate them, because that's where we are today. So can they compete? Yeah, but they're going to have to find that happy medium where it's the development plus the, whatever you want to call it, NIL compensation that players will get moving forward. So, so it's just a new world. It's the next step, but development's certainly going to have to be part of it.
Yeah, Cam Ward, is an interesting guy, kind of early on in that, where he went to Washington State and he was, he's okay. He was rusty. He was raw. went to Miami and really, could be an early to maybe the first pick in the draft this year. But it does take that development and kind of having that patience with things. With what Utah picked up in the portal, what are your just your first thoughts about the players and who Utah picked up? Because I want to talk about the people they lost in a minute. But what are your thoughts on the ones that Utah got?
Oh, I like what they did. I think they really solidified. It's striking, again, going back to it, it's striking that happy medium between compensating and taking care of your players, retaining your players that you have, and then also adding in through recruiting high school kids, but also the portal. So I think they did a really good job in retention of some of their skill guys, some of their young skill guys, tight ends, wide receivers. But I think they really did a good job. Devin Dampier's going to step in and have a really good offensive line in front of him. That offense, you and I talked about it, that offensive line a year ago was good. There were some other extenuating circumstances around that sometimes didn't make them look as dominant as they were, but I thought they were good. So I like what they did there, and Dampier is really intriguing to me. He just is. I mean, this is a kid that threw for almost 3,000 yards and ran for 1,200, 1,300 yards last year. And it was his first real full season as a starter in Jason Beck's system. Right. And he's only a sophomore, going to be a junior. And you know this, quarterbacks improve. We sometimes forget not everybody's a finished product right away. So to see this kid as a sophomore having that kind of success at New Mexico, I think here with better talent around him, I'm really intrigued to see what they do with him.
Yeah, I'm too, and I love that he's his personality is like he's outward, he's a guy that, and a lot of guys that are like that, they tend to bring people along with them, and he's a guy that really seems to love football and love what he's doing, and then he got better as he played. He significantly got better as he moved forward. So it'll be fun. I'm curious a couple of things. I'm curious about Keanu Tunivasa and kind of him leaving. What kind of impact does that have? I know there's Cam Calhoun and kind of his departure, but maybe some of these guys who left. What's kind of the impact of that?
Well, I feel like I've talked about this 100,000 times, but it's the first time you and I have had a chance to talk about it. I can't lose sleep over guys that leave programs. If they don't want to be in a certain place, let them go somewhere else. Both those kids that you just mentioned are very good football players. But at the end of the day, the program is not going to rise and set on one or two players. They're just simply not. If it was a position like quarterback, you might worry about it. But the defensive line let's face it, defensive lines in bad years for Utah, their defensive line is good. In good years at Utah, their defensive line is elite. I really don't worry about Utah being able to find good defensive linemen and, frankly, defensive backs as well. Those have always been, Scott, as long as Kyle Whittingham especially has been at Utah, and even further back than that, as long as he's been defensive coordinator. Those are two positions that Utah's always had great depth at, and I still think they will this year. I just think that in the one player in particular, because he went to a rival and because he was so outspoken on social media, people kind of freaked out a little bit about it. But I just don't think it's going to have a great deal of impact especially on a side of the ball, which, frankly, you and I both know, they were probably pretty close to being elite last year. We just didn't look at them as elite because the offense had so many struggles and the defense was called upon to do so many things. If that offense would have been average or slightly above average last year, I think we would have talked a lot more about that Utah defense, and I think it's going to be really good again this year.
Yeah, they did a nice job defensively. And I appreciate your thoughts and your patience with me. We haven't talked since the season was over, so I'm curious what your thoughts are. The new OC and kind of the new staff. What's your take on Jason Beck and where he's going and the people he's brought with him?
Well, at first I felt a little old. You and I both at that same time because I covered him when he was a young player at BYU. So it made me feel a little old. And then I saw him over at the facility probably a month or so ago, maybe a little less, a little more, a little less than that. I just like the idea of sometimes, we talk about this sometimes with head coaches, in pro sports and other places. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with your message. Sometimes that message just falls on deaf ears a little bit, or sometimes you just need to freshen things up a little bit. And I thought Kyle Whittingham hit it on the head. I think a new offense that's a little bit more plug and play is probably what you need in today's day and age. That's no reflection whatsoever on Andy, because Andy was an elite offensive coordinator. He didn't forget how to call plays overnight. He's really good. But I think sometimes changing it up a little, bringing in a little bit of new personnel and a new scheme can sometimes freshen it up. So I'm really excited to see this offense, because it's not just people think it's a passing, and it is. It's a little bit of a spread. But, Scott, they ran for over 3,000 yards at New Mexico last year. 3,000 yards. They passed for almost 3,000, and they ran for about 3,000. They had a 1,000-yard running back. They had a 1,000-yard quarterback, and then everybody else added in. So I'm just really anxious to see what Jason Beck's impact's going to be, and I think it could be a nice shot in the arm for the Utah program.
Yeah, I got a chance to talk to Jason a little bit too, and very impressed with him. And so I like the hire. I like where it's going. I think it's going to be a good thing. Tell me about the men's basketball program. You call those games. They've won 3. They had a big win over BYU, the rival. What's your take on the basketball season so far?
Well, they got humbled a little bit at Houston this week, but I'm just going to tell you, Houston's the type of team that's going to humble a lot of people.
Yeah.
Just to put it in context, and BYU lost by 31. So, it wasn't like Utah's the only team Houston's blown out. They've won 33 straight at home and 18 straight at home against Big 12 teams. They're good. I think Utah's improved since the beginning of conference play. They're 3-4 right now. They had a 3-game winning streak. Tomorrow's going to be a really interesting game because Baylor's good, but they're not on the Houston-Iowa State level, if that makes sense. The 2 premier programs in the Big 12 right now. And they've battled a few injuries. And Utah's gotten a lot better as a team since they played Baylor down in Waco, 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I think tomorrow's going to be a really interesting game. I don't expect the crowd to be quite like it was for BYU, the 6th largest crowd in Huntsman history. But I hope we have a really good crowd tomorrow, because I think that crowd impacted the game last week. And I think this team matches up, and I think they can match up pretty well with Baylor if they handle their pressure. So I think they're in a pretty good spot going into tomorrow.
And that game is at 2:30, and it's here on
2:30.
ESPN 700. Of course, Bill is on the call along with Sean Mooney. Before I let you go, really quick thoughts on the AFC Championship game. You can talk about both of them, but I know you're a Chiefs homer, so I want to hear your thoughts about them the most.
I'm glad they're at home. I think it's a coin flip game. I just think they're both – you've got the best 2 quarterbacks in the NFL squaring off. You've got a team that's been beaten in the playoffs by the Chiefs 3 straight times that they've played. I think there's some motivation there. They beat the Chiefs earlier this year, but the Chiefs have 4 or 5 guys back, some pretty key guys. They're one of their best defensive backs. They're running back. They're one of the better defensive ends. They've got some personnel back. But that being said, I think it's a 1-possession game, and I think it's somewhere in probably the mid-20s. Weather's not going to – it's going to be cold, but both those teams play in the cold. I just think it's going to be a good game. I hope it's a game like we saw a couple of years ago, where they scored, all those points in the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game. But I feel like these are the best 2 teams, Scott, right now. And you got 2, the Chiefs have that championship DNA, and the Bills have that chip on their shoulder like, we're sick of losing to these guys. And so I think it's going to be a really good football game. What about you?
No, I agree. I love all the matchups, and I'm just a fan of really good football, and that's what you're really going to see. And to me, it's just can Josh Allen get over find a way to beat the Chiefs, and you just have to take your hat off to the Chiefs, because they just know how to win, and they will fight you to the last minute, and you love and appreciate that. And I think they've done a really nice job of evolving as a team and just finding new and more and different ways in how to win, and they do that a lot through their quarterback. So as long as Patrick Mahomes there, it's a good bet that the Chiefs will do well. I
know I'm a Chiefs homer, but you know this because you played in that league for a long time for good teams. It's hard to win. in that
heck
league.
yeah.
It is hard to win. And I think we sometimes as fans and media get caught up in narratives and storylines. There's no style points. There's no voters.
No.
There's none of that stuff. When you win, what have they won, 14 or 15 consecutive one-possession games?
Yeah.
That's a skill set. Much like catching a pass, or that's an ingrained skill set. And Buffalo's right there too with them. But this whole narrative about the Chiefs, to me, it's almost more impressive that they evolve and find ways to win, and not just one. Some teams, this, are one-dimensional. If you take that one thing away, they're done. They're screwed. That's not Kansas City. And that doesn't guarantee they're going to win tomorrow. But I think the fact that they've had this run in 7 consecutive, Scott, AFC championship games, that's impressive too.
Well, and people are trying to figure out how to stop them, and if you can't evolve, you can't change, you can't hit another note, you can't find, whatever, because people are like, how do we stop this? What do we have to do? And so that ability to adapt is absolutely huge, and not everyone can do it, and it does. It tells you how talented and how good those folks are there. Bill Riley is brought to us by Advanced Windows. Tell us a little bit about Advanced Windows, Bill.
Well, folks have heard me talk about them, but I can't talk enough about them because they're so good to me, and they're good to everybody that they work with. 36 years in business here in Salt Lake City. Everything's locally owned, operated, made, manufactured, and installed right here. Custom windows for your home, doors, treatments, all of it. They take good care of you at Advanced Window Products. They've got a New Year special going on, $2,500 off 10 windows or more. So if you're paying way too much money on your energy bills and you want to save a little bit in the winter and summertime, they can do that. But more than anything else, they just treat you the right way, and they back everything up, all of their work, with a 100% lifetime warranty that will take care of it. So if you've had windows in for 10 or 12 years, you have problems, they'll come out and take good care of them for you. It's our friend Nate Orchard, former mayor of Sac Lake City. It's Dave Orchard. It's Jake Weber. It's all that crew at Advanced Window Products. Whether it's shades and blinds for your home, I have some of those, or windows, or maybe a doggy door for your pet or something like that, let Advanced Window Products take good care of you. Their phone number is 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Just let them come out and give you an estimate and take good care of you at Advanced Window Products. Let's do lunch soon, Scott. Let's catch up.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you, Bill. It's always a good time talking to you. Appreciate it.
Talk to you soon.
All right. There you have it. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports leader. Before we get out, though, you have a chance to see the Runnin' Utes. A home game, text Utes at 33986 to win a pair of tickets next home game tomorrow versus Baylor. You can also purchase tickets at utahtickets.com. We'll catch you in just a sec. All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 792 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk. ESPN 792.1 FM welcomes Billy Idol to the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater September 5th. Listen to the Sean O'Connell Show next week for your chance to win tickets. Visit ESPN700sports.com for more details. Oh, my goodness, my daughter loves Billy Idol. It's like she loves Billy Idol. She's like 22 years old, and we've gone to multiple Billy Idol we will be going to. I'm just telling you, we will be going to this concert. I'm going to listen next week just so I can get tickets. All right, right now it's the PGA Tour leaderboard update. Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines, brought to you by Uinta Golf. Experience the future of performance with new shaping materials and AI 10X Smart Face, delivering up to 8 yards longer with even more forgiveness at Uinta Golf. Give us an update real quick, James.
Yeah, Lanto Griffin. So the leaders are just teeing off. We've had others that have been playing a little bit here. Lanto Griffin still in the lead at 1 under, or at 6 under, excuse me, even through 1. Ludwig Oberg had a bogey. He was tied for the lead to start the day. Bogeyed his first hole, so he dropped to a tie for second with Danny Walker at 5 under. And then we have a 4-way tie for third. That's Joel Dahman. Joel Dahman in there, and Sung Young Im, also 2 of those guys tied for 4th there. Zach Blair still in it. He's a lot farther down the leaderboard, unfortunately, tied for 36th. Still at even.
Come on, let's pick it up. Let's go.
Still at even, but hey, he made the cut. Only local guy to make the cut. Tony Finau, by the way, not competing in this one. So Zach Blair, the only local guy to make the cut here. They are into the weekend, Scott, because this is a Saturday ending tournament, except for Sunday because AFC Championship game.
Don't want to mess with the NFL on Sunday. All right, thanks, James. Appreciate it. We're here at Tim Dowley Mazda in Murray, 4595 South State Street. Iser Haddon, general manager, is with us. Got deals.
Got deals everywhere.
He's the other white meat, right?
That's correct.
Where are you from? You're from
half Bulgarian, half Jordanian.
Yeah, see, that's the other white meat right there. We love it. He's got great deals. Tell us about some of the deals you got going on.
So the greatest deal that we have is on the interest rates right now on the purchase. 0.9 for 36 months. On longer terms, we have 2.9 for 72 months, significantly better than any credit union out there and any banks. And the other deal for your listeners, which is $500 below factory invoice on any 25 model they come and pick. If they do it from now to the end of the month, I'll carry it over. For any listeners of yours, just come on down saying they heard us on the radio, and we'll take care of them at that point.
Amazing vehicles here, amazing standard features in all of the vehicles. I mean, you can get a great car, great deal. They're ready. They want to get this stuff moving. You're going to get an awesome opportunity. And, of course, for those ESPN 700 listeners, come and get that great deal. Also, tell me a little bit about EVs, right?
So the EVs, I mean, first of all, we're not a museum, so we want to sell as many cars as we can. So if they want to come in,
there's no Mona Lisa here.
No, we take care of them.
That's
not a problem. The EVs, the rebate and incentives in the EVs is going away at the end of the month.
Got it.
Some cars up to $7,500 on those. I mean, $7,500 is $7,500. I mean, if you're looking to buy a new EV, come on down before the end of the month. Take advantage of it. Take the rebate of $7,500 plus additional discounts that we give you. Some cars are up to $10,000, $11,000 off. I mean, that's huge savings into your pocket. And on top of that, you save money on gas. Even if the gas comes down or goes up, you're still saving 57 miles a gallon on some of those cars.
Yeah, it's amazing. And they're great cars. And so you got just a tremendous opportunity here. Come down. Do it now. This stuff's going to go away. Great interest rates and great people here. Thank you, Iser. We'll catch you in a little bit here. Appreciate it. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, you're listening to the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 792.1 FM. We'll be back right around the corner. We're going to talk a little hockey.
trademark filing rather for the names that they were trying to get. And of the 5, those are the only 2 that really the only thing they had to do was clean up some clerical stuff and some notation on there. Utah Hockey Club has an easier path of the remaining 3 to stick around, but it looks like the easiest path will be Outlaws or Mammoth. Now, that doesn't mean they don't find a way to make one of the other options work. It just means it would be more difficult as far as getting everything, the likes and the marks approved and then protected for them to be able to use that, logo for stuff like merchandise and jerseys and all of that. So that's really what it comes down to.
What killed the Yeti? I mean, what was it ultimately? Why was it not approved?
I think part of it had to do with Yeti coolers, or the drinkware, the coolers, all that. And look, there are precedents for negotiation with brand names that already exist. So whether you went Yeti or Yetis, that didn't mark enough differentiation according to the government. So that's really what it was. They would have had to reach a licensing agreement, and I don't know how much money that would have cost them, but they would have had to pay out of pocket if they were going to do it.
Yeah, that'd kind of throw folks off. So are you guys like a cooler, or are you like this mythical figure? What exactly are you in this thing? It's very interesting. So are you saying that the Utah Hockey Club is still on the table, and it looks like the most likely thing to continue? Is that what we're thinking, or?
I don't think that it's the most likely thing, because one of the things it faces as far as trying to get the trademark is with. And I think that out of all the ones I mentioned, so Blizzard, same thing. It's a generic name, and that's why it faces a problem. Yeti is the Yeti Cooler Corporation. And again, Outlaws and Mammoth are the ones that seem to have kind of the edge. Venom was also mentioned in there, but again, that one is kind of, I don't know. To me, I feel like we're, at least as far as I'm concerned, Mammoth seems to kind of be the way to go, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, it's a fascinating world to try. I mean, it's almost like everything seems to be copyrighted or some kind of it's really hard unless you come up with just some random made up name. It seems like a hard thing to get through. So, well, anyways, we'll figure that out as we go. So the club. We'll figure that out as we go. So the club, they won the other night. They play the Winnipeg Jets tonight. Where are things right now with the team and kind of how they're moving through the season?
So January for me, I felt was a make or break month for this team, and it honestly has been both make and break by the way they've played. They've been up, they've been down, but right now they're up. And they're playing well right now. They just came off a 7-game homestand that really had a chance to get away from them. They managed to kind of scramble back to 1 game under 500. They finished 3-4, but they beat Winnipeg in the final game of that homestand on Monday. Winnipeg is the top team in the division, and rightly so. That's a very good hockey team. Well, Minnesota, whom they beat last night, is second. So now all of a sudden they've got big wins at home, St. Louis and then Winnipeg. Now they go on the road to Minnesota and back-to-back with some travel overnight to Canada. They're going to play Winnipeg again. If they're able to find a way to beat the Jets one more time, that's going to be an incredibly impressive run for this team right now. They look pretty good in a lot of areas. It's not perfect, and it's not going to be perfect. They're still battling injuries, but they are on an upswing right now. And heading into February, the NHL trade deadline's right around the corner. If they manage to reinsert themselves into a wild card playoff spot conversation, things could look a lot different here in a couple of weeks.
You have this Four Nations tournament coming up in February, I believe, and that's kind of it's not a brand new thing, but it's in lieu of the All-Star game. What are kind of your thoughts on this? How do we cheer for it? What give me your take on it.
Sure. Well, there's two ways to cheer for it. It is advertised, 4 nations. It's U.S., Canada, Sweden, and Finland. There is talk of expanding it in the future. It's a bit of a take on the old World Cup of Hockey, which used to be a fantastic tournament, and I absolutely love that. International competition in anything, whether it's Summer Olympics, Winter Olympics, pick any sport in there, and I feel like it brings the best out of the players of that particular athletic endeavor. So hockey is no exception, and there are plenty of players from all 4 of those nations in the National Hockey League. As a matter of fact, Team Finland, so here's one way to root, has 2 of the defensemen from the Utah Hockey Club going over to that team. So if you want to root for Utah players, you're going to root for Finland because they have a pair of the defensemen there. If you want to be patriotic, you're going to root for Team USA, even though I think they overlook Clayton Keller, and I think Clayton Keller from Utah Hockey Club should have been on that team. He's not on that roster. It's disappointing.
Yeah, it's almost like you can't lose, right? I mean, because it's like you can. Hey, we have a dog in every race here, or at least a majority of them. I think it gives you a better chance to root for something.
It really does, and you know what? It's kind of like fantasy football, right? I mean, if you have a player on this team, a player on that team, you kind of want to keep an eye on everything. So let's say you're rooting for the United States, they're playing Canada and Sweden. You can still root for Finland when they play the other ones as well. And then when the U.S. goes up against Finland, you just got to pick your side.
What's the I've read a little bit about this, and it seems to be from the players that they seem to like this. And for I know there's Russia and some of the other countries, Eastern Bloc countries, I believe, that didn't have representation. And I know it's new, and that was maybe the critique. But generally, the players like this. Is that right?
They do, and that's why they fight so hard to go to the Olympics every 4 years and play and shut the NHL season down, literally, right in the middle of it for a couple of weeks. And the other thing is, too, I think a lot of sports are seeing their all-star competitions are getting tired.
Yep.
The NFL moved away from it first. The Pro Bowl just kind of felt stale, and so they're trying to do things constantly to reinvent it. Baseball went with the home run derby and the All-Star game, which I think is arguably now a bigger deal than the All-Star game.
True.
The NBA All-Star game, I don't know if anybody can tell you when it happens, how it happens, but they know about the slam dunk contest and the three-point shooting contest. So the NHL, trying to save its All-Star game, or at least shoot some life into it, went to a 3-on-3 round-robin tournament based on teams from divisions. That was fun. It was enjoyable, but I still don't think it was the sticking point that they wanted to showcase some intense competition. It was more a media event. This, Four Nations, is more intense competition and really showcases the sport as opposed to, what is essentially, a skills competition.
I would imagine that with the Olympics coming to Utah, in the future, that because it's this national pride. It does get a feel and excitement leading into the Olympics, and I wonder, how did the fans feel about it? Because the All-Star game, the NBA All-Star game was here in Salt Lake a few years ago, and everything leading up to it was awesome. All the excitement, all the different events that they had going on, and there just was a lot of electricity here. And I got to that game on Sunday and was there at the game, and I was like, this is horrible. Like, this is just like this thing just fell off the cliff. So building up to it was great. And so how are the fans feeling about this type of tournament? Is it something that they get into and they're excited about, or where are the fans on this one?
I think the fans will enjoy this a lot more than an all-star game, just based on the pulse of people that I talk to and that I run into. And look, you're right. It is all about making things a media and fan event. It is about, for 12 square miles around the venue, trying to make it just a giant party / carnival / circus. And I think the leagues do well with that. The game itself, I mean, you can't help it if someone doesn't want to hustle. You can't help it if someone doesn't want to play defense. The NHL runs into that too, just like the NBA does. So it is, and it can be boring. But the thing about international competition, when you put this on the line like this in hockey, it means a lot to these players, and they are willing to go all out and try to win these games. And so it is way more intense than an all-star game, and the fans love that.
Yeah, it's a little bit like the Ryder Cup. where it's like it's that country pride. It's a special thing. Everything's shut down. They're all eyes are on you, and you're watching it. Yeah, so I'm fascinated to see how it all turns out. What does it mean to the Utah Hockey Club when this event is going on? What are the players doing? How do they work through this? Is this a good thing? Is it a good time of the year for this club? And what's the impact it will have on the club?
Well, this year it is very fortunate for a team that is battling, as we talked about earlier, injuries.
Yeah.
Defensively, they've been so banged up all year. It's been a difficult year for them. They're still missing 3D right now, and at times it was 4 this year. And when you only start 6 in a typical game, to miss your top 4 is pretty rough. So it's going to give those players a little more time to heal, a little more time to get healthy. Plus, there's bumps and bruises up front, too. I mean, the forwards are not exempt from this. It's going to give them a nice little break. Of course, the players who are selected for international competition will go on and play there, but Utah only has, as I mentioned, they've got Oli Mata and Yusuf Valimaki going for that Four Nations tournament. So they really, by and large, will get a chance to rest. The challenge for Utah, because they're not sending a lot of guys, is shaking the rust when the break is over. So that is going to be the hardest part for the Utah Hockey Club, because if they catch fire right now and they grab a little momentum heading into that break, which is coming in a couple of weeks, that's going to be the hardest part for these guys. And to maintain or regain momentum on the other side of the break, whoever does that first really has the best chance at charging headlong into the postseason.
And what's a good year? Kind of last question here for you. What would be a good year for this Utah Hockey Club and all that's kind of happened so far? Is it making the playoffs? Is it getting deep into the playoffs? What would you consider a first year successful season for this team?
I think an excellent result for them is making the playoffs. I did not have them in the playoffs because they were out by a couple of spots last year. My ideal year for them to show stable and steady growth this year is to be in the playoff conversation. And they are. They're showing that growth despite the injuries, which is why it gives you reason to be optimistic that should they get healthy late, maybe they can sneak in. So I think that's an excellent result. And look, once you're in, anything can happen. The playoffs are crazy. If your goalie gets hot, he can steal you a series. So I would put no limits on what happens if they get in.
All right, I lied. I need one more question. I just thought about it. I'm a huge hockey fan. I lived in Detroit, Michigan for 7 years while I was playing professional football, and just fell in love with the Red Wings and got to meet a lot of the players and had tickets, right on the glass. Just really loved hockey and saw that place. Everything. It was Hockeytown, USA, and it just passionate, rabid fan base and fun. And hockey's such a great sport to watch and it's just the action is just frenetic and just really love it. But there's a lot of excitement about this team to start the season off, and that excitement. I think everyone wants to go and win the Stanley Cup of the first year. Where are we now? We're kind of about halfway through the season. Have you felt the fan base is still there and they're with the club, or is it waning? Where do you think the fans are right now?
I think most of them are still there, and the beauty of Utah as a NHL market is they've been a minor league market for a very long time. So there's a lot of true hockey fans who come from the more blue-collar side of minor league hockey. And I think they understand that it's building and rebuilding, and it's patience. And if we're honest with ourselves, you have to admit that, hey, your team has a 1 in 32 chance of winning a cup every year. Those odds are long. So I think the excitement is still there. I think little things along the way keep it up. Getting some guys back, seeing some players go off on a run, seeing improvements to the Delta Center, I think really helps. And little things like jerseys and merch becoming available. There's all these little pops that keep fans interested. Now, look, honestly, some are disillusioned at this point. They thought they were going to come in and be number one all the way.
Of course.
That's not quite where this team was.
That's the Utah way. Come on. That's how we roll.
Yeah, no, believe me, I've interacted with some of those people on social media, and it's like, you just gotta slow your roll. This team is about growth and development, and to me, they will be challenging in 3 years. So that is my roadmap for this team, challenging for a title in 3 years.
In all our professional sports, we're building that foundation for success. That's what we're doing right now. Tom, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really appreciate it. Great to chat with you, and all my best to you.
All right, thanks for having me on, and look forward to talking again.
You got it. All right, that was Tom Callahan. He's a host of the Utah Hockey Club, Locked on Utah Hockey Club podcast. And, hockey's just great. And I think they're making an attempt to actually make their mid-season all-star experience something that's actually watchable. It really, it'd be fun to see how this little mini nations tournament goes and develops over time. Before we get out, we're here at Tim Daly Mazda, 4595 South State Street in Murray. ICER General Manager is joining us right now, and you have got some deals. It's been fun to chat with you through the show. You're doing an awesome job, and you want to do an awesome job for your customers to come down here. So tell us a little bit about some of the things you got going that are exciting.
Yeah, I mean, our job is to make sure that we buy our customers. Make sure that's the most important thing, that they're satisfied with the service that we give them. The deals that we have are great interest rates right now that Mazda is offering, 0.9% for 36 months. And if you like longer terms, we have the 2.9% for 72 months, which is very aggressive for a brand new car. And those are on 25 models, so 2025 models. And then the other thing is from us to your listeners is $500 below factory invoice on all brand new vehicles from now to the end of the month if you decide to buy.
All right, so you do $500 below invoice. Can you make any money on that?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's not about making money. Yes,
Right.
it's a for-profit business. But again, if we make a little but sell a lot, it makes more difference to us at that point.
So it's a great deal for people
Correct.
to come in, and that's an awesome thing. That's going to go through the whole month. So anyone listening, ESPN 700, mention that when you come down here. You're going to get $500 below invoice, 25 models. Most of them, all of them, everything.
Any new car that we have here, you come down, you see it. We'll show you at factory invoice. We'll take $500 off of it. If you're military, there's another additional incentives.
Oh,
if you're a Mazda owner loyalty, there's an additional incentive that we'll take off of that, and we'll run with it.
Yeah.
We just want to earn business. That's
Great
it.
vehicles. I love that, by the way. And I appreciate that way of doing business. It's the long game, right? It's the long game. So I love it. All right, EVs.
Yes.
You got our deals on the EVs
I
still?
got huge deals
still
on
going
EVs.
on?
Yeah, so I mean,
Bubba Trump is taking away your rebate, so you
Trump is taking the
better get in here before that happens.
Yes, we want to, if there's any money that we can give to our consumers and save them, why not? Like the EVs, they have $7,500 rebate. That's going away. I mean, that's not coming from us. That's coming from the manufacturer and coming from the government. Why not take advantage of it, right? Come on down, pick an EV, $500 below invoice, and so that's an additional savings. So some of those cars up to $10,000 when you combine the $7,500 rebate.
Yeah.
So that's
Great
huge.
deal. Yeah.
I mean,
massive deal.
Yeah, and on top of it, you're saving on gas and all the other benefits: full brand new car, full factory warranty, all the safety features. I mean, how could you go wrong?
Yeah, you can't go wrong. No. Hey, folks, come on down. It's Tim Daly Mazda here in Murray. You don't want to miss it. 4595 South. These guys want your business. They want to keep your business. They got great vehicles, great deals. You don't want to miss it out. Come on down. Stuff going on all month, so it's not just today that this can happen. All right, really appreciate it. We'll chat with you again. ICER, this is the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 792 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk. Around the corner, we're going to wrap this show up here in the next half an hour. Got a lot of fun stuff still to chat about. We'll be back in just a bit. Hello, hello, sports fans. I'm Scott Mitchell. This is the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 792.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk. Sean is watching people beat each other up in Dubai, and he's commentating on it. I, on the other hand, am here doing the show for him. And anyways, we really appreciate your business. We appreciate you tuning in today. We're having a lot of fun talking about a lot of fun things today. It was a great conversation about hockey. We're here at the Tim Daly Mazda of Murray, and we're going to be here for about another half an hour. Great people down here, lovely little showroom that we're in, and we got a ticket winner, didn't we? Yeah, we got a guy came in and he got his tickets, and so he's happy. But you can come in and actually enter to win future tickets to Utah Utes basketball. Of course, the guys are playing tomorrow at 2:30 against Baylor, and the team's it's on the rise, and had a lot of ups and downs and good things going on this season. So fun to watch. Of course, the most important thing is they beat the BYU Cougars in the rivalry game. That's all that matters to the Utah folks. An interesting thing happened recently, and I really could relate to it, and it was about this Mark Andrews, the tight end for the Ravens, and he was let's see here. Before we get to that, I do want to go over one thing. The ESPN 792.1 FM Cash Kickoff is here. It's time for you. It's time for your shot to win $1,000 cash to pay your bills, to do whatever you want. Text bills, not as in the Buffalo Bills, but like pay my bills, BILLS. It's the same, but it's not, right? The Buffalo Bills are definitely not, paying your bills. I think they've paid their bills. They've paid their dues. They lost 4 Super Bowls. Hopefully they'll win one. Text bills, BILLS, to 508-777-1000 for your chance to win. That's 508-777-1000. Okay, so anyways, Mark Andrews, the tight end for the Ravens, fumbled a catch going in to score, and the Ravens really had the momentum. Buffalo couldn't stop him, and he fumbles the ball, and turnovers kill you, right? So he's sick because it looks like they're going to lose the game. They get the ball back, they score. The Ravens do, and then they call for a 2-point conversion because they're down by 8 points. He's wide open. He's going to score a 2-point conversion, and he drops the ball. So he has a fumble and he has a drop, and it essentially killed their chances of winning the game. And at the end, after the game was over, he said, "I'm not talking to the media. That's it. I'm not doing it. I'm out. I'm done. Not talking to the media." And he took a lot of heat for this. And it's a tough situation to be in, because when all of that happened for him, man, my heart went out to him. It's just such a gut punch. It's just so demoralizing, because when you get in that situation, you feel like you've let everybody in the world down. Now he didn't talk to the media. Everyone's ripping on him, and people, and it's this big debatable thing, and I thought it was kind of interesting to chat about it here for a minute. Kind of some of my thoughts and feelings about it. And Nick Saban was recently on a podcast, and one of his former players was the host, and he's like, "Hey coach, all I remember you telling us was the media was the enemy." Like, these are college players, right? So don't talk to the media. Don't be a part of the media. Now Nick Saban, of course, is front and center on College Game Day. Does a tremendous job at it. And his kind of reasoning for being a part of the media was to promote the game. So he goes, "I didn't want my players to be exposed to the media, because there's also a component to it of criticism." And of course, Mark Andrews, when you lose the game, or you have significant plays that cause, were a big part of why the Ravens lost, you're going to get criticized. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be a tough conversation to go meet with the media after the game. And when you bail on it, people are not happy about it. Nick Saban says that the media is your enemy. What say you, Scott Mitchell? Well, I'll tell you what I say. Here's the challenging thing, and I really think it's part of kind of where you are in your maturation process as a human being, right? When you're a young player, or there are just some guys that are more comfortable, that are okay talking to the media in those situations. The reality is, though, you're a professional. Okay, college is different. And Nick Saban was talking about college, but in professional football, literally in your contract, you are contractually obligated to talk to the media. Now, most of the time, Mark Andrews is not going to be front and center talking to the media whether the Baltimore Ravens win or lose. Right? You're going to talk to the quarterback. You're going to talk to Derrick Henry. You're going to talk to John Harbaugh. You're going to talk to a couple of defensive guys, but usually tight end, and unless you're maybe Travis Kelce or George Kittle or some of these guys, maybe you're going to have more of a discussion with the media. But under most situations, you're not. And I will tell you, it was a brutally frustrating thing to deal with as a player, and especially depending on the market you were in. Like if you were in Detroit, which I was in, brutal media market. New York's a brutal media. Philadelphia is a brutal media market. You go to Green Bay, they love you. Kansas City, love you. When I was in Miami, man, it was like you could do no wrong, right? But when you go to Detroit, Michigan, they booed you at home when you got introduced before the game even started. You didn't even have a chance to do anything right or wrong, and you're getting booed. And so it's a tough thing to deal with. And you try to keep it on a professional level, right, with the media, where you try not to take things personal. You try not to take the fans and their criticism personal, but we're all humans. We're all human. And like, I'll just tell you, man, I tried not to let the criticism bug me, and sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. And a lot of times what was more frustrating to me was how much effort I put into things. And when you don't have the result, you're more disappointed. You're more critical of yourself than any media member could be. And as sad as it is, and this is the sad part about it, is you really, it's, I've mentioned the maturity, right? When we started this conversation about you have, the mature thing to do is to take your medicine, to go in, to have the conversation, and really, even if the conversation is this was just brutally, I just don't have much to say right now. I'm just sick about this. I feel like I've let everyone down. It's just a horrible thing that I'm going through right now. Just, it could be as minimal as that, and then the end of conversation. But when you don't deal with the media, then it lives on. And it lives on. So someone here in Salt Lake City, Utah is talking about you not talking to the media when it shouldn't even be an issue, right? And that's the reality of it. And that it's easier said than done. I get it, because I'm telling you, in that moment, right when that game's over, you are absolutely just devastated, numb. It's horrible. It is absolute horrible. And on the flip side of it, it's absolute ecstasy, where you say stupid things because you win. It's almost so being more just congenial across the board. Now, it used to drive me nuts because they'd say, well, you don't say anything to the media. Bill Belichick never says anything to the media, right? And so they hate it, and they're never going to get anything from him. So then you go, because you're coached, like they say, hey, the media can be your friend. This is how you can really build your brand and promote yourself. So you try to be more of your personality. You try to get out there. You try to talk to people. You try to say, hey, and then they start ripping apart every little thing that you start saying. And so it's like you don't say enough. You say too much. It's the wrong thing you say, and it's a really hard thing to handle at times, because the media can be a really, really difficult thing. And what is so hard as an athlete, and you play this game for a living, and it's just entertainment. That's all we are. We're just providing entertainment for people. It's not like, life or death here. It feels like it when you play. Just so you know, it feels like the world's going to stop if you don't win. But so it's entertainment, and the media drives the entertainment, and that's just how it is. And so you're never going to get over that. You're never going to get through that. You're never going to get by that. And so it's just really, really important for you to realize that the media drives all of this. And you just have to somehow, some way, in the worst of moments, find a way to make friends with it and to have it a part of what you do. And I know it's not easy, but it's the way that it's driven.
Scott, I'm curious from a former player's perspective, especially today. You didn't have to deal with social media at the time, but today
I'd have died if I had to deal with social
right?
media.
But
It's been the end of me.
But especially with social media, where 24 hours a day you can go on your phone and you can look up your name, or you don't even have to look up your name if you're that famous, and you can see people criticizing you or praising you or whatever it might be. I wonder if you were to give advice to players today, would you tell them, hey, always talk to the media when you're supposed to have a media availability, but then don't even entertain a thought about what did people think I have to say with what I had to say.
So really, I think it's more, for me, it was like I didn't, back in the day it was the newspaper. Like I didn't watch television. That was our social media, was television and the newspaper. And so I just didn't watch. I didn't watch the news. I didn't read the newspaper, no matter what. Like if things were good, if things were bad, it's like it's a distraction.
It's the rat poison. You started this talking about Nick Saban. That was his line. It's rat poison. You treated it that way.
It really is. And so you did your obligation, and that was that. Now, some people just go, I don't care. Charles Barkley says, y'all are going to say whatever you want to say about me, regardless of whether I talk to you or not. So I might as well just give my opinion. And he's made an unbelievable career out of just being open and candid and authentic. And sometimes he's really stepped in it, and he didn't care. He just kind of marched through it. The social media side of it right now is just a really that's a dangerous thing. That's like uber bad. The whole I know a lot of people. He's like, as a player, he's like, you just during the season you just don't engage. And a lot of guys, I think of Kevin Durant. He's very active on social media, and there are players today. I mean, a lot of players, doing. The Kelsey brothers doing their podcasts, and some of these guys. But, players, I had a TV show when I played. I had a radio show when I played. And so you're doing media things. You're out there, you're out there doing stuff. It's not like you're hiding in a closet, but it really, the media drives it. And a lot of times if it's that bad moment, you can really turn people in your direction by just, sucking it up, going out there, just saying something, facing the music. It's a far better thing to do than to not. And I say that from personal experience where I didn't do it, and so I wished I would have. And for the most part I did, but there was just one moment I didn't. And we don't have to get into that moment, James.
You're all good. You don't have to give details, but I was also curious if you always did, I wondered if you always did do it, or you had some times when you didn't. Then
there was one time I didn't, and
we don't have to go. We don't have to get into it. That's okay. I'm just got curious about that.
Yeah. So yes. Yes. Go and face the music, and you're just better off. And it's hard though, James, because you think you're just playing a sport, but the media drives it all. I mean, why you have the salary you have is because of the media, the popularity, all of it is because of the relationship and the connection to media. And there's a hunger for it. I mean, it's the most watched stuff on television is the NFL, and so really, really important to kind of, however, make friends with that relationship.
Yeah, it would seem to me, and I know we gotta head out here, but real quick, it would seem to me that it would be best to just say what you feel like saying, and then don't pay attention to the reaction as best you can, because especially in today's day and age with social media, that can be so hard on your mental health if you're always looking at people's reaction, right?
Yeah. Oh, it'll drive you insane. All right, let's take a break, James. You're listening to the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 792.1 FM. When we come back, we got tropical. It gets cold, and I just think warm. Topical trivia, along with I'm going to give you my picks for the conference championship winners this weekend. So stick around. We'll be right back for the final segment of the show. a part of Utah's ESPN radio network. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean. We're here at the Tim Daly Mazda in Murray, 4295 South, just for a few more minutes here. We've got our topical trivia right now. You can win 2 tickets to Shinedown on August 11th at the Maverick Center. Okay, so let me tell you what that here's the question, okay? How many Grey Cups did Mark Trestman, who was a guest on the show earlier, his former NFL head coach, coached 2 different teams to multiple Grey Cup championships in the CFL. He's now with the LA Chargers as a senior offensive assistant. But how many Grey Cup championships did Mark Trestman win as a coach? Text in to 877-353-0700 if you know that answer for those tickets. This final segment's brought to you by Advanced Window Products. Need new windows? Buy direct from the only local manufacturer, Advanced Windows Products. Sales and installation all in-house, no middleman markups. $2,500 off 10 windows or more. AdvancedWindows.com. We have our PGA Tour leaderboard, Farmers Insurance, open at Torrey Pines, brought to you by Uinta Golf. Experience the future of performance with new shaping materials and the AI 10X Smart Face. Ooh, I love a smart face. Delivering up to 8 yards longer with even more forgiveness at Uinta Golf. Do you have that leaderboard update for us, Porter?
Yeah, the Farmers Insurance Open, as you mentioned, third round right now. Lanto Griffin, 7 under, is the leader. They've been dealing with some weather, with some delays as well. Joel Damon, Chris Gotterup, 5 under as well. A bunch of Americans up there, up at the top of the leaderboard with Hideki Matsuyama, who's at 4 under, and moving up the leaderboard today pretty rapidly. And the local guys, Scott, not a great showing. Tony Finau, Patrick Fishburne, both of those guys missed the cut. And then Zach Blair shot a 78 in the second round. But because of his first day, which he shot a 66, he is going through, and he's even right now, so still hanging around there.
Oh, nice. Torrey Pines, amazing golf course. So love it down there. Great place. Nice to see that the PGA Tour is back in full swing, and nice to be partnered up with Uinta Golf. So really love it. All right, I'm going to go through my picks for the winners of this week's conference championship NFL games. Really exciting. Great matchups. Really love this. So the Washington Commanders are going to the Philadelphia Eagles, and this game is this will be a division rivalry game. Third time these two teams have played. You've got Jalen Hurts, who is the quarterback for the Eagles, and the big news is Saquon Barkley. And then you've got Jaden Daniels on the other side of it, and a resurgent Commanders team. I know I'm going out on a limb here, but I'm gonna pick the Commanders. And I'll tell you why. I think there comes a point in a season, and the point is you have to have a quarterback make throws. Like, you just have to make throws. And I just feel like nothing has bothered Jaden Daniels so far this season. He's vetted himself out through a lot of games. He still has an ability to make plays running the football. He'll extend drives running the football in a big way. He's excellent at that. I mean, he's really good at that. And so I'm gonna pick the Commanders here. So the visiting team is gonna win. And then the other side of it, what an exciting matchup of this is. You love that 2 of the best quarterbacks in the NFL going to together, and they've had a history, and the history's been dramatic. And I don't see that changing at all. With where everything is, I still think you're going to get the drama. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs are living on borrowed time. I really do. I don't think they're as talented. I don't think they're as good as they've been. I know they have Patrick Mahomes. I know that they've had some tough wins this year. It just feels like this might be the year of Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. You always have to pull for the Bills because it's Buffalo, and they lost all those Super Bowls. And I just think he's going to find a way to get a victory here. So I'm going with the visitors. It's a visitors weekend. They're going to spoil the home team excitement. Of course, it'll be interesting to see who's in the booth with Taylor. It's Taylor Swift, right? She's the singer. Or what? No, I'm kidding. I know who she is. Anyways, so fun, awesome weekend. Really have enjoyed being a part of the show. Great being out here on location at Tim Daly Mazda here in Murray. Great deals going on here. Just let me tell you a couple of them before we get out of here. 0.9% on 36-month financing here through them. All models, basically all the 25 models that they have here on their lot. If you want longer 72-month financing, it's 2.9% on pretty much every vehicle here on the lot. There's a $7,500 rebate on all EVs, and of course that rebate's going away. The new sheriff in town, the new president has kind of removed that mandate for electric vehicles. They're still a great option for people. People are going to buy them, should buy them. If it's a car you really want, you should absolutely do it. So take advantage of that rebate. And anyone who is listening today mentions ESPN 700, you get a $500 below invoice for the whole month of I guess we're going to say a whole month. I'm looking at my guy here like he knows more than I do. Yeah, so whole month. So some great deals, great cars. Come down here. Tim Daly, Mazda of Murray, 4595 South in State Street here in Murray. All right, I'm done for the day. It's been a pleasure. Really appreciate all of you tuning in, and hope to do this soon. This is the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 792.1 FM. Spence Checketts and The Drive is up next.